So Chris is a Tableau ambassador and helps organizations to use data the best possible way. He's using Tableau and Alteryx and Snowflake wherever he can. And in his opinion, data is easy to use and easy to understand, probably if you know how. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Chris, to talk to us about data for nonprofits.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. And you should be able to see that.
Yes, we can see something now.
Yep, perfect. And just for everyone else, I won't be using a webcam because my connection's a little bit slow anyway. So audio works well, but video sometimes doesn't work. And there'll be spaces through this presentation where I'll ask for questions, but let's see how we go as well. So my talk today is about Tableau for nonprofits and how you can help. As Alex has said, I'm a Tableau ambassador. I work for a company in Australia called Visualize Data, which is a consulting firm specializing in Tableau, Alteryx, and Snowflake. So interesting that my talk today, even though it sort of hints on Tableau Desktop, and we'll get to that, I'm more talking about Tableau Foundation. So Tableau Foundation is another arm of Tableau, where essentially they help non-for-profits around the world in these areas that we're focusing on. So you can go to the Tableau Foundation website. The link is tableau.com/foundation. And they've got different areas about global health, poverty, climate action, hunger, education, and equality. And you can go in and see a lot of different things in there and how they help with these incentives worldwide. At the Tableau conference last year, their aim is to give away $100 million worth of software over the next few years. So it's there if you can actually get to access that. Their motto is to encourage and use the facts of analytical reasoning to solve the world's problems. So that's when they're focusing on that. What I'm more focusing on is trying to get a non-profit in your area and see if you can actually qualify for a free Tableau desktop license. So a lot of people sort of perk up their ears when they go, it's free. Yes, it is free. I'll go over the one catch, but that's not a hard catch. But to qualify for a free Tableau desktop license, you must be officially recognized as a tax exempt organization in your country. So in Australia, that tends to mean that you're an incorporated association or something similar. And in other countries around the world, obviously, you need to qualify for that non-profit tax exempt status. So if in the US, it's the equivalent of a 5013C, I think it's called, or C3. You must have an operating budget of under $5 million USD, or the equivalent in local currency. You cannot be a school or college or everything else on that list, and you can't be a religious organization. If you are a school or college, you can actually qualify for licenses in a different way, just not under this scheme that I'm talking about today. So if you want to apply for a license, you go to tableau.com/foundation/license donations, and that's all linked through the site, so you can find it as well. So this is just the map of which country you're in, what sort of distribution partner do you have to go through. So in Australia, we'd be going through a firm called Connecting Up. And for most of the rest of the world, you'll see you go through TechSoup. It just depends on where you are as to what you do. But again, all the details are on the site. You follow the bouncing ball, choose your country, and it will process or will point you through to the right place. And yes, it's free. Tableau Desktop, completely free, but it's a $60 USD admin fee. And for that, you get 2-year license to use Desktop and Prep Builder. Okay, so basically for $60 US, that goes to the distribution partner to actually organize the licensing and such, and you get Tableau Desktop. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm racing through the slides, so that's probably a good idea, is Tableau Service Core. So what we were just talking about is getting a free license for Tableau Desktop to give to a nonprofit. The Service Core is the other side of it, where us as Tableau professionals can volunteer our time to those nonprofit organizations as well. So as I said down the bottom, some of the criteria for using Tableau Service Core is you need to be interested in helping nonprofits do more with their data. That's obvious because that's why you would join the Service Core. You need to have access to a copy of a desktop, which can come from the nonprofit as well. Have a bit of experience in using Tableau. I don't think that's really a rule that you have to have at least 6 months, but you've got to know what you're doing in Tableau. You can't just be using this as a learning exercise. Have some autonomy about the projects and be able to provide sort of proofs that you know what you're doing in Tableau. That's fairly easy to check as well. From a volunteer's point of view, this is the breakdown of volunteers around the world. So I've highlighted APAC. We've got 3 in Japan, 2 in Singapore, and 2 volunteers in Australia. And this is more the core of my talk today, is not only can we actually get licenses for more volunteers, or for more nonprofits, I should say, but try and increase the number of Service Corps volunteers we have so that we can cater for the requests that come from these nonprofit organisations. Obviously, just a map breakdown to show you where they are in APAC. I'm more looking at where the volunteers are not in APAC. So obviously there's a lot of landscape there that we need to cover where we don't have volunteers. And the same through the US. There's obviously a lot more volunteers in the US. And there's a handful of volunteers throughout EMEA as well. Any questions at this stage? Okay, actually can't see the question screen, so I'll switch back.
No questions so far, I think.
No, easy. I'm looking at my time and I'm way ahead of time, so that's cool. So just a case study I did recently was I was contacted by Glaucoma Australia. Glaucoma is an eye condition that affects a lot of people around the world. Glaucoma Australia is working to actually come up with a cure for that eye condition. And you can see some stats down the bottom about how many people actually have glaucoma, how it affects people, how it actually damages your eyes. And there's also a link that it's hereditary as well. So a lot of people actually don't realize that their relatives can be affected by glaucoma in their later years as well, because it's a hereditary condition. So the problem that Glaucoma Australia had when they contacted me was they said, this is what we do. We sit down with our data and this is what we fix, but I'll show you what the work was before. Within their CRM, they pull the data out into a CSV. So that's a manual process that takes a few minutes to do. That's easy. It takes them about a day to a day and a half to process that CSV and put it into Excel, because there's a lot of data. It's manually entered into the CRM. There's a lot of different formatting that needs to be, manually manipulated into Excel. I think people have sort of heard this story before for various other client sites that they go to. Once they've got it in Excel, it takes them about an hour to make the changes into Tableau. They then sat down and copy and pasted all their Tableau visualizations into Word, and from Word create a PDF file. So they do this once a month, as I said. The reason they do that only once a month is that the flow takes about 2 days to do. So they just can't afford all this extra time to say, I need to do this on a weekly basis, or a lot faster. Apart from obviously the time frames in there that look a little bit scary, they have a meeting about every fortnight where they're using that PDF report. So every second meeting, the data is up to date, and every other meeting, the data is the old data from a fortnight ago. So the automated way that was changed with that was obviously we can run it once a day. They don't need to run it once a day. I think they still do, just for the joy of doing it. Is the same process, right? So we're just going to streamline this process. Is out of the CRM, still pull the data manually into a CSV file. We then used Alteryx to open that CSV to create the Excel file in about 6 seconds. So all that 8 to 10 hours of work was condensed into a workflow in Alteryx, which took 6 seconds to run. We open the data file in Tableau and then save it directly as a PDF. So the difference there is, obviously, the old way took 2 days. The new way now takes about 2 minutes, just streamlining that process. Obviously, the key there is Alteryx, where all the manual stuff that we used to do in Excel, we now do in Alteryx. The reason I'm mentioning Alteryx here is Alteryx has a similar setup with Tableau as Tableau Foundation. If you're a nonprofit, you can actually get a free Alteryx license as well. And on the Tableau side of this, we just streamlined that you don't have to go from Tableau to Word to PDF. You can just go Tableau directly to PDF. Any questions?
Nothing so far.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So my challenge to everybody out there, and I know this is going to be quite a simple thing to do, is find a nonprofit and help organize a license for them. There's plenty of nonprofits out there, even with the criteria that we're talking about. There's always going to be someone who can actually help with data somewhere. And then obviously the second part of the challenge is enroll as a Service Corps volunteer and help nonprofits to use Tableau more or use Tableau better. The nonprofits can apply for more than one desktop license, but they only get the desktop and prep for free.
We did a question from Samantha from Brisbane asking if you provided any education for the Alteryx workflow that they could utilize or modify themselves.
Yes. So they're not quite up to that stage yet. So they let me do all the Alteryx work, but they had to do their business logic. So a lot of the CRM logic, they understand how the CRM works a lot better than me. They understand the data in it. So they know the business logic in the workflow. At the moment, they're still letting me change the workflow, but ultimately all the Tableau work and all the Alteryx work will be them, so that when they actually need to make a change, they can do it themselves.
And what's the process to become a part of the Service Corps, and how does it work afterwards? Are there things assigned to you? Do you look for them yourself, that kind of thing?
Yep. So applying for Service Corps is simply just going to the Tableau Foundation website, navigating through to I want to become a volunteer, filling in the information. Tableau will get in touch with you. So there's it's probably about a 1 or 2 week discussion back and forth. You need to do simple things, provide a photo, provide some like a bio details, what you're interested in, etc. Probably the hardest thing on that question was, how do you want to provide support? Do you want to do phone? Do you want to do video? Do you want to do, I think it was remote desktop or something? And they're from there, and even if you just go now, because that's where I got the volunteer information from, is any nonprofit who qualifies for Tableau Foundation can go to the Service Corps side and say, I need a volunteer to do this. That's how Glaucoma Australia got in touch with me. I've also done some work for a company in Timor-Leste. They just had a quick dashboard problem. So the rules in Tableau are you can actually decline if a request comes through. So, as a non-for-profit, I would find the volunteer that I'm interested in, or maybe a volunteer has got dashboarding experience and I want to do dashboards. So you would send the organization sends off the request to the volunteer, which means I'm the volunteer. I would get the email. I can then reject that project because maybe I'm too busy, or maybe I'm just, for any other reason, maybe I'm on vacation or something. If you accept that, you then talk directly with the client. So for the company that I was working for in Timor-Leste, I just said, look, let's call each other on WhatsApp, just have a talk. We then did a screen sharing through Zoom. They had a syntax problem with one of their LOD calculations. I fixed that and they went, oh, that's great. We'll call you soon when we have another problem. I've never heard from them again, which is fine because I've solved their problem. They can get on and use Tableau. For Glaucoma Australia, because their office is quite close to me, I just sort of went, or my reply was, rather than doing all this via email, via phone, via this sort of stuff, I actually went into their office when I had some free time, sat down with the guys, figured out what they wanted. That's when I said it's actually more of an Alteryx problem than a Tableau problem. Got their Alteryx license organized, and then did the Alteryx side, and then that let us make the Tableau stuff more efficient as well.
Cool, thank you. And there's a question from Michael Perillo. Do you have recommendations or advice for how to reach out to nonprofits that may not be aware of programs like Tableau Foundation? And who do you ask to speak with at NGOs, and how you can help, so it doesn't feel like just cold calling sales?
Yes, for the non-for-profits that I've brought it up with, it's, I've got that relationship there. I know that it feels like cold calling when you're calling them up, and obviously saying, hey, I want to give you all this software for free, or arrange to give all that software to you for free. It's, the common reaction is, what's the catch? The catch is there's no catch, or the catch is there's the admin fee. But as soon as I actually understand that Tableau is wanting to give this software away if you qualify for a non-profit, the only thing on the non-profit side is they've got to apply. They've got to send in a financial statement to prove that they're under that $5 million limit. And then usually their license is sent out within about a week or two after that. So it really is a matter of just convincing them that it's not a catch. It's not a sales call. It is purely just, you are here from the community to help them. Using this method, you can give them a desktop license for free, and then you can provide some help for them for free. You don't even have to be a consultant to do that. You can be, just a normal person who uses Tableau. It's just, for me, it's just the curiosity of seeing what other people can do with their data, but also giving back to that non-profit community to say, they're short of funds, or in the case of glaucoma, they're raising funds to help with medical research. So why pay for consulting when, if they go through the service core, they can get consulting for free? By the same token, if they're using that more, they can actually switch between different volunteers, or you can come up with how to manage that workload later on as well.
Thanks. We have one more question from Sam. Do you know of any user groups in Australia or New Zealand that do hackathon type of things for Tableau Foundation?
I don't yet, but what we're planning to do for the Sydney Tableau user group, I can't announce it perfectly yet because it isn't confirmed, but I'm hoping that for our December tug, we will have a different non-for-profit presenting at the user group, showing what they do with Tableau, and doing the same thing as seeing if other people can help with their Tableau development work. I've spoken to this organization, they just haven't confirmed yet.
Cool. And is there any sort of I don't know, time frame or scope that is provided when you take on let's say, let's call it a job? How does it work time-wise?
So it's usually up to you. One of the Tableau conditions is if you think it's more than 10 hours work, you can reject it. But then, there's always that flexibility that if you just don't want to do the work or don't want to work with that organization, you can reject the work as well. So there's no, you don't have to work to like a job. You don't have to have a commitment. But, I just sort of like the feeling of giving back to any nonprofit association to say, you guys basically need help. Either is that in a teaching role? Is that in a consulting role? Is that in an advisory role? What sort of role is it in? But the help that you're giving is they don't have to spend money on consulting. They can actually spend, keep the money to spend on whatever the purposes of that organization is.
Cool, thank you. That's the question so far.
So this is the last slide I have, unfortunately, which is more just me, how to contact me if you need to. So email, Twitter, or if you're at the Tableau conference, then try and track me down in the 20,000 other people that are there.
That'll be very easy, I guess.
Possibly.
Cool. Yeah, now is the chance to ask any other questions from to Chris, at least live. Afterwards, you'll need to do it on Twitter or via email. Looks like there's not much. Oh, Sam asks if you have any other free in quotation marks tools in the stack that you could recommend.
That's it at the moment. So, oh, sorry. So no, there is one other. So my normal pitch is for any nonprofit, you can get Tableau Desktop for free. You can get Alteryx Designer for free. On the Connecting Up website for Australia, but I imagine it's in TechSoup and everywhere else around the world, you can actually get free credits through AWS and you can get free credits through Azure. So in Australia for AWS, I think it's something like $250 Aussie is the application fee, and you get $2,000 of credits to use in the financial year. So our year runs July to June. And every year you've got to reapply for that through AWS. I'm not sure of the actual selection criteria, but I'm in talks with Glaucoma at the moment to say when they want to go to a proper cloud database, or when they want to go to a proper database, let's do cloud, let's do AWS, let's utilize the free AWS credits that are available, and then we can have, do you want to do SQL Server, MySQL, what sort of stuff do you need there? So yeah, there's plenty of big software companies out there that don't mind helping the non-profit community. It's more just how do you qualify, how do you register, and how do you process those credits?
Well, I think that was an exhaustive answer to to that question. Thanks for that. Sweet. I think if that's it, then thank you so much for telling us about it. I have to admit, I knew that those things existed, but not really in detail how that works and what it actually is. So I think that's a really useful introduction to all of these initiatives.
No worries. And I was the same. That's why I brought it up. Is I've contacted I've worked at non-profits before where they're paying for consulting, and then when I found out properly about Foundation and Service Corps, I went, hang on, like Tableau is set up to give away this software to non-profits, and then Tableau is also set up that if people want to volunteer, then people can actually volunteer their time. And as I said, why don't more of us do it? I know volunteering is a fairly difficult thing to do these days because everyone's got busy lives, but also most non-profits are doing really worthwhile cause on sometimes really low funds, and we can help them use their data better by using these tools.
Cool. Thanks for that.
Okay.